Hey everyone, welcome to episode 61 of the one and only Paddle Talk podcast. Great show for you this week. We've got Texas Mud Drag schedule change. We've got PSDA season opening race from Don't Valley Raceway. And we also have the Just Add Dirt race. Mr. Ken Donaldson putting that on down in Florida coming up this coming weekend. So Valentine's Day weekend for all of you watching this maybe later on. So it's a great show. Stay tuned in. We are ready to go. And all this brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt out of Cleveland, Wisconsin. Whether you're looking to upgrade your ride or just maybe put some other parts on it to help get you into the winner's circle in 2025, Racing in the Dirt, ready, willing, and able to help you get your ride where it needs to be. So give them a call, area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or you can find them on Facebook or even on their website, racinginthedirt.com, and the UPS Daily. So let's dive right in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Paddle Talk podcast. And to get things started this evening, we are joined by Mr. Ken Donaldson, who has a race going on this coming weekend down in Florida. I am joined by our esteemed panel, Mr. Caleb Mings, Dave Applegate, and Damian Bowers. So, Ken, let's get right to it. Give us some details on this race. I believe, what is the name of the location there?
It's in Satsuma, Florida. The track's called Just Add Dirt Motorsports. Actually, it's really close to my house.
And like that's right always a plus.
Yeah. Guys, to start off, I'd just like to say thanks to a couple guys, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank Mark Kelsey. He's the track owner. He's been putting a lot of effort into this and a lot of his own money, or a lot of money, of course. And he's been doing a really good job. And hopefully we're going to have a really good track to run on. And I'd like to thank Dave, actually, too. Dave's been helping me out a whole bunch. He's always on my side. Every time I need something, he's right there with me. So I, just wanted to do that. And the other one is Casey and Dave. I don't remember Casey's last name, but Casey is a gentleman from Alabama that's actually donated the timing equipment for us. And just a big shout out to him. Thanks to him for doing that for us, because now we have some really nice equipment to use and we can run bracket racing and index or whatever we want to run. So.
Yeah, and his name is Casey Smith.
Casey
He
Smith.
has HCL Contracting.
So yeah, big shout out to all those guys and thanks for everything. Looks like we're going to have a great weekend. From what I can see, it's supposed to be around 70 degrees Friday during the day and evening, and in the low 80s on Saturday. Not hardly any chance of rain, knock on wood. You guys all know last year we had this all planned out and scheduled, and it didn't happen. Mother Nature put a stop to it. The whole weekend long, it just downpoured. So.
Now, Ken, Ken, I don't mean to interrupt, but just so you know, the World Sand Drag News rule, you're not allowed to say that 4-letter word. Mother Nature's fine. But if you say the 4-letter word, we give you like 2 chances, man, and you're out. We can't have that. So
hang up on me.
It's just a warning, because Damian really watches that, and he's kind of our police on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't made aware of that, but okay.
Just go with it, man. Just go with it.
So hopefully we're gonna get to see Dave down there. He's coming down to race his car, which is going to be really cool. And we've got a couple guys from up in north there. I guess Jay Coons and gentleman by the name of Jerry Lentz. He runs at Tri-County. He's coming down. Other than that, it's probably going to be a bunch of the Southern guys. So I'm hoping for a great turnout, actually.
And Ken, remind us, is this a 200-foot event, or is it 300-foot?
It's a 200-foot.
200-foot.
The track's actually 30-foot lanes. It's actually pretty nice track. It's got approximately, from using 200 feet, it's got approximately 700 foot of shutdown, and then it goes into a bank turn. So hopefully we shouldn't have any problem with getting enough speed scruffed off and going right, just going around the turn. And
Yeah,
not at all.
3 years ago, I was down there and raced, me, KD. Oh man, I don't remember who all went. There was a bunch of us down there, and it was during their tractor pulls, and that's something that I wanted to throw in there. Mark does a great job with the tractor pulls and brings a lot of people, which is huge. But that weekend was pretty big. But we were in 300 feet, and we didn't have any problem stopping. But that's 3 years ago, and people's gotten a lot faster. So again, Ken's like, let's just do 2. I'm like, it's probably not a bad idea. So, but Ken, can you tell us a little bit about the classes? What's happening Friday? What's happening Saturday?
Friday, I guess it's not really still up in the air, but the idea right now is that we're going to have it's going to all be heads up. We're going to have like a street class basically for diesels and street trucks. And we're going to break it down to a small block power adder, a big block class, and a big block, and then an open class. And I figured since the big block power adders are probably going to run the open class anyway. So, and then if we get enough of the ATVs, we're going to try and put a class together just for them too.
Now ATVs or side by side?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because I think this one, Ken, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think this one you said that we're not doing 4-wheelers at this event.
We kind of put in the advertisement that we weren't going to do any quads, possibly next year. But if some of them show up, I'm not going to turn them away.
Okay.
We'll do something with them. We'll put them in their own class because most of the guys that I've talked to that were wanting to go before were all basically stretched out Banshee stuff and everything. So I'm thinking we can probably get them into a one heads up class for Friday. Yeah. And then Saturday, we're going to run a bracket race, and which you guys all know what that is. So we'll be starting time trials at like 2:00 and maybe even a little earlier. But and we're going to start racing at 6, and we're also going to do what they call a consistency class. A lot of the guys down here race that, and it's basically 2 passes, and the person with the closest 2 passes wins the money.
Is that going to be including reaction time? I know sometimes they include the reaction time. I think a lot of them do. Is that including your reaction time?
That's still up in the air. I'm not really sure. Most of the guys down here don't seem to care, the ones I've talked to. So
they're more worried about ET.
Yeah, if there's a guy, more of them want to run with the reaction times, then that's fine. We'll do it. We're basically just trying to make everybody have fun and have a good time. So
take a poll at the drivers' meeting, see which direction people want to go.
Mm-hmm. And what's the entry fees? Did you guys come up with that?
The spectators are going to be $20. Kids 7 to 11 are $10, and then 7 and under are free. And the racers' fees are going to be $50 per class, or $50 per car. So if you want to get in there a couple of times, or you've got 2 drivers or whatever, we're going to allow that. Especially on Friday, they can run as many classes as they want, actually.
Good. Well, they got a great place there. The stands are really nice. The concessions are really nice. Plenty of parking. It's pretty slick. It's a slick setup.
Yeah, it's a really nice setup. He's done a lot of work to the place, and it's really made for a nice setup. He put a bunch of clay in the track for the truck and tractor poles, so we're hoping that it actually has a little bit more bite than just the sand would, and because the track was killer for their truck and tractor pulls. Everybody down there that I talked to loved the track, so I'm thinking as much clay as he dumped on it, I'm thinking it should actually be a pretty decent track to run on.
Nice.
Okay.
Hopefully something similar to what South Georgia was like when we were up there, Dave.
Okay. Curfew. Is there, I can't remember. Is there a curfew there?
Not that I know of. No, not that I know of. Never said anything about that. Mark's really good at getting stuff pushed through pretty quickly. So hopefully let's put it this way, their truck and tractor pulls were over by 9:30. And he put quite a few truck and tractors through. I don't know how many there were, but he's got a lot of really nice equipment. We're going to try and keep the starting line really nice. He's got a pretty cool setup for that actually on a skid steer, and it should make it real fast just to go in and brush the starting line up, and hopefully we can get them done, because this is a show, or there. Let's put it this way: there was probably close to 4,000 or maybe a little more spectators at the truck and track on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, when I was there 3 years ago, the count, what I had heard was Friday was around 4 and Saturday was around 5,000 people.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Nice.
The stands were completely full. I mean, completely full. And everybody I talked to, my car actually was sitting in between the grandstands, so I was down there kind of promoting the sand drag race, and I mean, everybody I talked to said they were coming. So spectator wise, so really hoping for a big crowd, and you know how a lot of the spectator crowds are. They're 4-hour shows. After about 4 hours, a lot of people get tired of watching. So hoping that we can run them through pretty quickly, but heck, it doesn't matter to me. Is if we get a big car count, we'll run them to our, as late as we can.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Isaac, Damien, you guys got any other questions that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I think you got pretty well covered. I'm really impressed. I mean, I watched some videos of the tractors there, stuff like that. The facility actually looks really, really nice. So hopefully this will really translate into a really good race, and hopefully more stuff like this can happen kind of during our off season, and get some more people to go down.
Yeah.
Damien?
That and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of what comes out of Florida as more and more of the mud racers are looking at this stuff and actually liking doing these more rounds of racing, heads up, actual eliminations and brackets. Hopefully we get to see Scott Cluxton's new car with the blower motor coming out too.
It won't be here.
Ah.
Well, the blower motor won't be there. It's got the drag, and he's running a fuel injected big block Chevy on alcohol. He'll have that. I know that the blower car isn't ready yet, but
okay.
I talked to him quite a bit.
Caleb, what do you think?
I think it sounds great, and it's always good. We keep talking about that kind of southern area. We need, some tracks that are really putting on good races there. So hopefully this is something that's just going to kick off and spark a big resurgence of, some permanent 300-foot and 200-foot facilities down there, in the South.
What we're shooting for, and the owner actually, he already told me that we're planning on another race for next year. He doesn't really, not that he doesn't care what the turnout's going to be like, but he knows this was, all kind of, especially a lot of the advertisement was last minute, but didn't get out there like he wanted. And he is actually hiring a promoter to basically promote the race or both races for next year. So that ought to be a big help for him, especially locally around here.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah, the crowd's where he makes his money. So, and that's what he's trying to do. He's got to make money for us to keep racing. So,
yep, absolutely. That's the name of the game.
That's it.
All right. Very good. Well, Ken, thanks for coming on. Thanks for bringing all the info on this race. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you're in the Southeast and you're looking for a race, I know it's Valentine's Day weekend, but hey, maybe you can get away for a little bit for Shirley on Saturday. Take your significant other out and maybe give them a surprise and see some really, really good racing down there where Ken Donaldson is at. So All right, folks. So that is going to wrap up this segment of the Paddle Talk podcast. And this segment, just like every segment on the Paddle Talk podcast, is brought to you by Racing in the Dirt out of Cleveland, Wisconsin. Scott, Shane, and the crew ready to take your 2025 race season to places, well, frankly, it hasn't been before. From turnkey rides to parts and accessories to get your car in shape for this coming race season, see them today. You can find them on the web at racinginthedirt.com, or also you can find them on Facebook. Oh, Mac.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
attacked by a dog.
You need to leave that on there. Leave that go.
All right, hold on.
That was great.
Never know what's going to happen here on Paddle Talk.
That's
So-
right.
So obviously they're probably going to cut that out, but while he's figuring that out, so you guys know, Ken spent last Thursday, last couple of weeks trying to get his truck back together. Transmission, rear end, all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
So he's,
I knew something gave up. I wasn't sure quite all what.
Yeah, it started out with the torque converter. The torque converter blew the complete center out, actually tore the center out of the turbine in the converter. And it didn't really put a lot of stuff through the transmission, but just because it blew it all,
Yeah,
I set
you're
the
there.
transmission out and had on
It's a-
through.
It's a power glide. You might as well go through it. It's simple.
Right.
Yeah. And then when it pulled the drive shaft out, I noticed that the whole front of the pinion was moving up and down. It took every bearing in the pinion out. All three bearings were completely just grenaded.
Ouch.
Really?
I'm surprised the Ford's got enough power to do that.
Jeez.
Well, when you
Wow.
pay Bischoff enough money,
Wow.
he'll make. If you pay Bischoff enough money, he'll make any brand do that.
Oh,
All right.
I love me and Ken tease each other all the time about that. I love that.
I mean, you're the one driving a Dodge, so.
All right, Isaac, you ready to finish it off and restart?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that.
let's just
All right.
redo that ad read there.
You ready, Caleb? Okay. All right, here we go. All right, and this segment, just like every segment here on the Paddle Talk podcast, brought to you by Racing in the Dirt out of Cleveland, Wisconsin. Scott, Shane, and the crew ready to put their over 30 years of experience to work to make sure your 2025 race season is even better than your 2024. From turnkey builds to race parts, wheels, tires, enclosed chain drives, you name it, they are ready to help you out to get you into the winner's circle. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com. Find them on Facebook at the Racing in the Dirt Facebook page, or give them a call, area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Racing in the Dirt and the UPS Daily. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Paddle Talk podcast. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the Texas Mud Drag's schedule change. But before we get to that, this segment is brought to you by Racing in the Dirt from Cleveland, Wisconsin. Racing in the Dirt, ready to take your 2025 race program to new heights and to the winner's circle. So get a hold of them today, either by phone, area code 920-693-2000, or you can find them at racinginthedirt.com, or you can even find them on Facebook. From wheels, tires, enclosed chain drives, and all kinds of accessories, all the way to turnkey rides, let their 30 years of experience help your race program get to places it has not been before this season. So contact them today. That's Racing in the Dirt. All right, guys. So we're talking Texas Mud Drags again. It feels like we have talked about them a lot this winter. Damian Bowers, what's our headline this week?
A bit of moving around of the schedules, a different track to replace Franklin County four-wheelers, because unfortunately, again, that race canceled for at least this year. Right now, the season opener is going to be at Cleves, home of Gravel-Rama. You're going to see these big power cars on the pea gravel down there to open the season. Then, let's see, computer's being a pain with me here. But then the track change is later in the season. They're going to Buchanan, I believe, West Virginia.
Yeah, Maniac Mountain. The
Oh,
only video I've seen of that place has been some ATVs running side by side. So
I did send a couple of videos before that from in the group chat from Hillbilly Proud from 2022, where they had a couple of open class rails from that area running there. I don't know much about the venue or the track. I don't know what the shutdown looks like or any of that. I just know that it's got guardrails down the full length of 200 foot, down the center line as well. Looks to be a good hooking track. Like I said, I don't know much about it. We'll have to get someone from that area that knows more about it. But
Well,
that's going
I
to
will
be
tell you, Damien, from the videos you sent, that place is looking a little sketchy to me. Guardrails down. It looks like they got them down both lanes. I mean, that's fine. Might be playing bumper cars. They do look like they're a bit narrow of lanes, but I am more concerned about the shape of the shutdown. I hope that the grounds there, they either have some new equipment by now, or they're going to pay a little bit more attention to the shutdown. But looking back at the Hillbilly Proud videos, it looks pretty bumpy to me, at least.
definitely. But August is now their to be announced date. They have not announced where or what track or anything about what exactly that weekend's going to be. September 6th is their race at Southern Mud Track in Cobbtown, Georgia. Obviously, their second race is still going to be Silverback in June 13th and 15th, or June 13th to the 15th. And also, looks like they've been sharing more and more of the cars that are looking to make it to these races. And one of the sand guys from Michigan has been saying he's going to make it to these races. Earl Lettner's bringing the S10 out for him.
yeah, it should be interesting. I'm not sure where Earl's truck fits as far as their class structure, and everything. But should be a very interesting, I'll be honest. Like a year ago, that was one of the trucks I heard was possibly going up for sale. And now it seems like Earl's hitting the road and, going to be putting some miles on it. So
him and Tony have been hitting it hard. Last year, they came out with a new engine combination, was running really good, but ran into some issues early on into the year. That truck's always been a strong runner as long as I can remember it.
very true. Very true. Whether it was with the nitrous motor or the blower motor in it, that truck has been fast. There is no doubt about it.
And it's definitely going to be in their open door slammer class. He's going to have to weigh. I don't know exactly what that truck weighs anymore. I know that it had to be fairly heavy in its gravel Rama days, even for XB class with a small big block. But he's got plenty of horsepower to run with those guys, and he's got a bit more wheelbase and engine setback than a lot of the outlaw pro stock style cars. So I look for him to be a strong contender for that.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, looking at it from Earl's standpoint, Earl's obviously run that truck at gravel. He's run it at Silver Lake a ton. There's 2 out of the 5 races. If you can do really well at 2 out of the 5, you may not even have to go to West Virginia. Maybe you pick up one of the next 3, and you could be sitting pretty well, I would think, in those classes. I mean, let's face it, West Virginia is a haul. One thing, though, that did interest me, though, of course, we're talking West Virginia now and everything else. That's kind of the stopping ground of Mr. Jason Massey from our MRA coverage and stuff. And I wonder if we'll see that car make an appearance up there.
Who knows? It's definitely looking to be a wild season. I know Rob French, who had the gray Jeep Wrangler, I want to say. I can't remember the name of it. Or David French. Sorry, getting the names mixed up here. He has sold the Jeep and is in the process of trying to put together a new car.
Really? I did not know it had sold.
I don't know if it has sold, but he had it for sale, and he's currently trying to put together a new race car. I don't know what class 4 yet.
Nice. I can tell you this much. Have you seen that Jeep in person? The fit and finish on that thing was very impressive. So I would imagine that is the type of vehicle we're going to be looking at next for him as well. So very interesting. All right. So interesting things with the Texas Mud Drags. Who knows? We'll have another update at some point in time to fill in this to be announced race there in August, and we'll see what happens once. All right. So that is going to wrap up our discussion on Texas Mud Drag's schedule change.
And that segment is brought to you by World Sand Drag News Photos. Go and check us out, worldsandragnews.com. Click on that photo tab, and you can search back through all of the galleries that we've had through the inception of World Sand Drag News till the 2025 season. You can go on there and purchase digital versions as well as multiple print options to support us and your favorite racers.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Paddle Talk Podcast. Joined by Caleb Mings and Damian Bowers. We're going to talk a little PSDA action. And before we get into it, just a reminder, this segment being brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt out of Cleveland, Wisconsin. Turnkey builds to accessories, you name it, they are ready to help you with your race program. So give them a call, area code 920-693-2000, or you can find them on the web at racinginthedirt.com. Or you can find them on Facebook even. So get a hold of them today and ask them to help you get to the winner's circle in 2025. That's Racing in the Dirt and the UPS Daily. All right, folks. So we are talking PSDA Dome Valley, first event in the 2025 race season for PSDA. First event after the rule changes, albeit most of the rules had a temporary pause for Dome, going to be fully enforced, it sounds like, when it comes to Shelton's. So, Caleb Mings, we've got 3 days worth of racing. Thursday was our index day. Give us a feel. How many rigs would you say are there compared to the car race that happened at Dome not too much earlier this year?
Well, I can't speak too much for Thursday. That was the only day of racing that I did miss. I will say that the bike count was a little low for a PSDA event. The quality of bikes that were present were very high, though. We definitely had some people that did some traveling. We had some people from Michigan, Louisiana, out there. I'm sure there's others from, more Beckies, obviously a lot of locals from California, Arizona, Utah, a lot of strong bikes, a lot of good numbers being set there. Some PSA records broken, others very close to being broken. For the indexes, if we want to get started into that, we ran through the 420 index was the lowest index that they did. And first place for that was Mike Miller, taking the win over Dennis Williams. And 4.0 index, we saw Dennis Williams also take second to David Markall, so them out of the IDK Racing Camp. David came back out in the 380 index and took the win over Alessi Pena. And you'll see, all these indexes, if you guys are not familiar with the PSDA race, all going up 0.2 of the time, gets kind of a nice even spread there. Going into the 360 index, we saw Tessa Nunez getting the win over Carlos Correa. The 340 index, Lacey George taking the win over her teammate Jackie Clayson on their Raptors. The 320 index, we saw, yeah, that's right, folks, bikes going 320s and a whole mess of them too. We saw Michael Cicelli taking the win in his Raptor over Daniel Bennett. Daniel out there on his laydown bike. And then they do one last index, which they're calling the 319 and faster. Really, basically, it's a heads-up class. So good place for people that have been doing test and tune the previous 2 days before racing action kicks off to have some racing for the really quick bikes out there. We saw Jaden Muchmore take the win over Jeff Gio in that class. Jaden on the triple cylinder K&T ride. Jeff on his new Articat Z1 laydown. So
that is correct.
laps out there.
Yeah, out of the Bennett Motorsports shop, came right out of there as well. So great to see Jeff do very well with that ride right out of the box. So very impressive.
Yeah, he's going to go, and he was, trying to get back into the twos for that. Just came shy of it a couple times, but his time is coming. I mean, they definitely figured out a lot with that bike, and
Yeah.
come Shelton's, and especially back at his home track in Gilbert, Louisiana, I think that Mr. Jeff is going to get back in the twos with a little different power plant this time.
I would agree.
To finish off our Thursday, we saw the no bar class. This is the non-plastic version. So it basically is a no bar unlimited class. Cesar Cordero on the K&T Team Venom Racing, world's quickest no bar bike. Multiple 3-0 passes throughout the weekend, taking the win over Jared Acevedo on Arlo Coley's Herbie bike. And Arlo said that didn't quite have the showing that they wanted, but they learned a ton with that event.
Now, how much complaining was there over the tuck rule?
Oh, you know what? I didn't really hear anybody complaining about that. Didn't seem to be an issue. I think the bigger issues that people complained about were the gloves and the neck braces. But by the end of the weekend, it seemed like everybody was complying with that. And I will give this as a little anecdote. This was probably one of the most professional looking ATV races. Just for that simple fact, seeing everybody with safety gear, multiple of these bikes are going quick enough that the riders are wearing full leathers. It looked legit, and I think that's one thing that if you guys start seeing some of our photos, you can check out Lone Star. That's going to be one of the big takeaways from this event, is that this is the dawn of the Professional Sand Drag Association looking super professional.
That's awesome to hear.
Last class that they raced on Thursday was the bracket. This is just a big open Sportlight bracket, big money on the line. And one of my good buds, Bert Boatman, taking the win over Angel Castillo. So wildly different bikes there as well. Angel on a freaking rocket ship bike out of the Tyler Hart's camp, and Bert, he's got a pretty quick bracket bike there, but taking the win in the bracket class Thursday night.
Nice. Well done. Well, congratulations to everybody that raced on Thursday. Let's move into Friday. Friday, the heads up day, and definitely the day, we'll just say the earth started to rotate a little bit, because we saw some absolutely mind-numbing numbers come out of some bikes in these classes. So let's get right into the Friday heads up classes.
Yeah, so running down the line, we'll start with the longest class name. And I do apologize, folks. They really need to go and rethink this, but it's the single and CVT twin 4-stroke and 2-stroke open limited class. All these on Friday's racing action are going to be our limited classes. No power adders this time around. And Michael Ciselli taking the win over Lacey George there. Michael also setting a new double E Pro ATV record. We'll have all of those listed up shortly. Probably after you see the podcast, it's going to take us a little bit of time to make sure we get all the slips and get everything in order for that. But tons of super quick passes. And oh, shoot, I realize I don't have the second place here for our 425. 1 second. 425cc class. First place goes to Tessa Nunez. And second place goes to, if I can find it here, Dominic Pena. There we go.
Yeah. Nice.
So super cool to see those young racers going out there. Obviously, those two families been racing a long time and doing some good work there in the 425 class. In the 525cc twin limited class, we saw Jared Acevedo taking the win over Tessa. So Tessa pulling double duty there. You'll see a lot of that happen with PSDA races where people can bump up into extra classes. So You might see a 421 bike running the 425cc class, the 525, and the 650. As long as they want to go and pay the entry for it, they can go and, compete against those bigger bikes. In that 650 class, we saw Misty Barton taking the win over Angel Castillo. And man, that's both those 650 bikes are freaking rocket ships. I mean, it's insanely just crazy to see what the 650 bikes are doing nowadays. They're running numbers that we have seen triples and much bigger twins run, just even a few years ago. It's pretty crazy. The 775 twin class, we saw Cesar Cordero take the win over Jaden Muchmore. You'll see a lot of those K&T bikes in these classes here, especially these bigger CC classes. The 900cc twin limited, we saw Jaden Muchmore. Different bike, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that was on a different bike than he had in the 775 class, taking the win over Luis Garcia. Luis joined the K&T racing camp, been out there this past weekend, riding a lot of their bikes and doing a really good job at it. The Open CC Spreadboard twin. So this is the monster 1000cc plus twin class. We saw Cesar Cordero take the win over Misty Barton. Then we're moving into our triple classes. So we had the 1325cc non-spreadboard triple class. Jaden Muchmore taking the win over Cesar Cordero. And then they had, it's a combination class. It's Open CC and CVT triple limited. So you're going to see a lot of the snowmobile powered bikes as well as the triple cylinder Banshees. And we see the same spread there. Jaden Muchmore taking the win over Cesar Cordero. Last class of Friday racing action was the Open CC class. So this is basically whatever you want, as long as it ain't turbocharged, you ain't running nitro, no nitrous, good to go. And that class, we saw Misty Barton take the win over Mike Brock.
Now, question on that Open CC class. Good old boy with that V8 we shared a couple weeks ago be in that class.
With a V...
Naturally aspirated, you said.
That's a good question. I think that it would have to be still a power sports power plant. I don't know what they would do with an automotive powered bike. I don't know if I've seen that out at a PSDA event before.
I think that is the limit. Is there cannot be the automotive power plant is not allowed. Now, I do believe if somehow you could figure out how to, like, say, hook a triple snowmo to a 9-inch rear end, I think that might be acceptable. But I think it's all on the power plant. But I could be wrong. We'll have to get Paul Moore and maybe somebody else to come on and educate us at some point in time as well. So.
Yeah, definitely be interesting.
From time to time throughout history, we have seen quads, we've seen motorcycles, we've seen three-wheelers with V8s in them.
Oh, yeah, V8s and VWs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right. So
that wrapped up our Friday.
Then.
Yeah, Saturday. So Saturday's where all the big boys really come out to play because it's the unlimited heads-up day. So you're going to hear a lot of the same classes, but now your power adders are totally legal. And, your nitrous combinations, turbos, those are the big two that were present on the property this weekend. The, again, longest class that they have out there, the single and CVT twin 4-stroke and 2-stroke open unlimited. We saw Jackie Clayson take the win over Lacey George. Jackie running some nitrous on that Raptor. The 650 twin unlimited. This is the shocker of the day. We saw Carter Christopherson. That is a 421cc Banshee taking the win over Misty Barton, which if you guys saw Misty throughout the weekend, you would not have expected her to take second in that class. But this is the crazy thing about racing, is why we don't just do it on paper. They had issues and the bike wasn't leaving. I don't know if it wasn't coming on the nitrous or it just was having other issues, but that final, I do remember being probably the messiest final for both competitors. Carter was out there. He was out on the bog. Misty had similar issues, and congrats to Carter for taking, the win there in a class that, he had definitely some lucky rounds to get there by, but, the old adage, rather be lucky than good.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yep.
Moving on to the bigger bike classes, 775 Twin Unlimited. We saw Luis Garcia on the KMT ride taking the win over Misty. Misty run that same 650 bike. So good runner up there for her. The 900 Twin class, we saw Angel Castillo take the win over Jaden Muchmore. Angel riding his butt off on that bike. I mean, they put down some serious laps on that quad as well. And then we move to the Open CC Spreadbore Twin. So once again, those big CCs, and we saw Jaden Muchmore take the win over Luis Garcia. The Open CC and CVT Triple Unlimited class, we saw Cesar Cordero take the win over Jaden Muchmore. The Open CVT Unlimited, we saw some of those Bennett racing bikes, both laydowns from the Bennett camp in the winner circle there. Jeff Gio taking the win over Daniel Bennett. Jeff on a nice 3-0 pass there. Like I said a couple times, he just barely tickled trying to get it into the twos. There was a couple times where the bike started going a little sideways on him at the top end, had to back out of it. And there was one pass that I can guarantee you folks, it would have been a 2 if he was able to stay in it. But, better save the bike than to get that 2 and all of a sudden be looking at guardrail or, cones and picking the finish sensors.
Absolutely.
Then our last class for Saturday's competition was the Open Cylinder and CC Unlimited. We saw Jaden Muchmore take the win over Jackie Clayson. So there's all our winners.
and it is a ton. Congratulations to everybody. I mean, if your name was mentioned, you probably were riding a pretty bad hot rod last weekend. Some of the numbers we saw come up was very impressive. I know a lot of guys set some personal bests and that sort of thing. Misty Barton riding that Eric Vyers Eschbau's bike, that 650, absolutely annihilated for the weekend. And, but just came up a little short in the final. But I tell you what, aside from winning that bike did everything it was supposed to last weekend from the looks of it. And I think she also went career best number on Eric's laydown 3-wheeler as well, if I remember correctly. So, and then
another one coming out the Eschbach camp. They had their nitrous assisted Hayabusa, and that quad with Luis Garcia behind the bars actually set low ET of the event with a 2.929. That still boggles my mind that, now we're, 3.0s are not even anything like special anymore. There was tons of those at the event. Now you got to go 2s and deep into the 2s at that.
Yeah, not 299. I mean, knocking on the door of almost a 280 pass. I mean, that is very, very impressive out of that thing. And congratulations to everybody connected with that bike and really with that team. So very impressive. So, all right. So their next event coming up in May?
May. I'm going to pull up real quick here, but it's going to be at Shelton's, Kentucky.
That's right.
And as you were mentioning at the top, Isaac, that is going to be the first event where they are going to enforce a few extra rules. So that, is going to include the spindle rule. So if you do have one of those bolt together spindle designs, you are going to need to go and find a way that you could go and weld that or swap it out for a full billet one. But you got to do something for Shelton's. Same thing goes for the aluminum Heim mounts and stuff for the mainly that's going to affect for the no bar bikes. So your suspension components can't have aluminum Heim joints on it.
Sure.
And the dates for that at Shelton's in Stanford, Kentucky is April 22nd through the 26th. So 5-day race event there. Again, 2 test and 2 days, and then 3 days of racing.
Fantastic. Yeah, can't wait for the coverage out of there. Hopefully, K-Dub can get down there and have us some good on-site reporting as well. So, all right, fantastic, gentlemen. That is going to wrap up our PSDA season opener discussion here on the Paddle Talk podcast.
And once again, this segment brought to you guys by the World Sand Drag News photos. You guys can check us out, worldsandragnews.com. Click on the photo tab. You can view all of our galleries and multiple purchase options. Click on a photo, click either the bag icon or the cart icon if you're on desktop, and you'll bring up all your purchase options from digital downloads to print options. So you can go and decorate your household, race cabinet, and trailers with all your goodness from racing action. It's a great way to support us and all that we do and help us get out at more events and snap some photos of your rides.